Hi everyone, I'm Jocelyn Rosignol.
And I'm Noon Huynh.
And today we're going to be talking about the negative effects of social media. Now I know what you're probably out thinking, oh geez, it's going to be some boring lecture on why I shouldn't be using social media. But trust me, it's far from it. I too have fallen victim to the many dark sides of social media before, and therefore just want to bring some awareness to these effects. I want you all to see that we should be demanding a change in how social media is run, so that is a more positive platform, or should thereby be boycotting it until a change is made. But before we jump into the discussion, you are probably wondering what this selection in front of us is. Okay, so for our calzones, we have a mac and cheese calzone, and then a Ted's calzone, and then we also got a side of cheesy tater tots, and for dessert, some cinnamon sticks. Oh, that's good.
Okay. I think that's enough about the food. Let's start talking about those negative effects of social media as well as address some way we can go about making a more positive environment.
Okay, well, to start, let's just set a definition of what we mean when we're referring to social media throughout this video. So, any sort of platform where you're able to interact with others via either, images, videos, commenting on someone else's posts, we would consider social media. So, for example, that could include, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, etc. You get the idea. So now that we've defined social media, let's jump into this discussion.
Yes, let's get this started.
I'm sure, just like me, you're all tired of the isolation, the constant cyberbullying, and even the false realities that are constantly being put into the spotlight on social media.
Social media should be a place where we are building each other up and are making global connection with people, rather than a place we go to spread rumors and hurt others.
I know personally that's the worst thing in the world to open up social media and see a bunch of hate comments under people's posts. Yet we continue to enforce this behavior because we're always just saying how we ignore the hate comments and don't let them get to us. Although this may lessen the amount of hate comments that are being put on a person's post or a person receives, it still gives those people permission to continue posting those negative comments, rather than figuring out a way to somehow either block the bad comments or somehow limit the amount of bad comments that are being made.
I always hear people say how they block out the hate comments, but why not try to actually do something about it? Why not actually address the impact of these comments and try to change the comments that are allowed on social media?
These negative comments often result in cyberbullying, in which people are constantly degrading others for whatever reason they may have. Although people claim that they don't let these comments get to them, it doesn't mean that they're always fully true, and that there are bound to be some extreme comments that will get to people either way, no matter if they choose to ignore those comments or not. This can lead people to turn towards either self-harm or pushing themselves away from others because they think that people may only see the bad things in them. They become scared of interacting with others and will stop posting altogether to try and stop the pain. Yet the internet is an unforgiving place where people still continue to bully others even if they no longer post anything. And speaking of posting, it is commonly seen that people post false realities all over social media. They either only post the happy moments in life or parts of their life where they're doing something fun. This makes people feel as if their own lives aren't significant and that they aren't doing enough with their lives, which makes them feel depressed. Instead of enjoying their own special moments, they constantly compare to those that they see on the internet, which makes the moments a whole lot less special to them or even enjoyable because they're comparing it to other people's.
According to a study in Guilford Press, there is evidence that there is a correlation between social media and depression. There exists in which people become envious of others' profile on social media and then think poorly of themselves. This can indicate great degradation of one's self-esteem and push people further into depression.
Therefore, when people see all of these gorgeous models on social media, they immediately start to compare themselves to others, making themselves feel badly or poorly of themselves. They think that they must look a certain way because they see everyone else looking unrealistically fit. This can lead to eating disorders or even self-harm because people are trying to quickly change themselves to look like these other people. They don't realize that everyone is shaped differently and that there's always a process to either lose the weight, become slimmer, or gain those muscles, etc. These false realities are preventing people from enjoying their own lives and living how they want to because they feel as if they have to live up to all these unrealistic expectations portrayed all over social media. And social media can also have some indirect effects as well, such as the idea of self-isolation. Although people may not realize it initially, it is becoming increasingly obvious that people are beginning to favor using social media over in-person interactions. They will go home directly from school and hop onto their phones to scroll aimlessly through social media, when they could instead just stay after school and hang out with friends. People are starting to lose their conversational skills because they depend more on the ability to think out their answers due to social media giving them the time to actually stop, read what someone says, and then think about it without the other person knowing that they took the time to think about how to respond. And therefore, they might have a much harder time holding a conversation or even just starting a conversation with people because they don't even know what to say. And these conversational skills are very key in many areas of life, such as the workforce. So it's extremely important to maintain these skills and to continue interacting with people face to face rather than just solely through social media.
In a publication from Sage Journal, it was suggested that an increasing number of people opt to spend more time alone rather than meeting up with friends in person after the large growth of social media. It has become the favorite option of communication, which leads to people isolating themselves since they have social media to stay connected with others. This can be indicative of the fact that people no longer go out of their ways to spend time with their friends, but will rather just go on social media to see what their friends are up to. It could therefore potentially hinder relationships and prevent people from forming real-life connections, which just leads to self-isolations.
Another indirect effect of social media is distraction that results from social media consuming the lives of many individuals, most people. A lot of people are unable to go even a few minutes without social media, and therefore means they'll just hop on their phones to check social media often throughout the day, no matter what they're doing. This could include going on their phones during class, resulting in them missing important information that they need to successfully pass that class. While having a conversation with people, they will also often get distracted by something on social media, therefore resulting in them not only being disrespectful to the other person that they're with, but they'll also be unable to hold a conversation, which will just make people less likely to want to talk to you. This leads to a lot of bonds and connections being unable to grow or even form because people would much rather give their attention to their phones and social media.
I know personally that during class, most of the time you can catch at least one person on their phone texting or scrolling through social media, even walking around campus. Most people are just staring at their phone, not paying attention to anything going on around them. People are missing out on information and things going on around them because they are so fixated on their phone and staying up to date with social media. Phones in general have become such a big distraction to so many people, and one of the core reasons is because they provide access to social media.
So although there have been an increasing amount of steps taken by individuals to move social media into a more positive light, it definitely isn't on a large enough scale to make an actual impact. There are definitely people out there who are trying to post more realistic things on social media and are also trying to find other outlets that allow them to pull their minds off of social media, like just staying after school, hanging out with friends, doing sports, etc. However, at this time, it doesn't seem like these steps are creating a large enough impact to eliminate the majority of negative effects associated with social media. Therefore, more people need to become aware of this, so together, we can try and change the way social media is seen and used so that it becomes a much more positive environment.
Some steps we can take to make social media a more positive environment are to be more realistic with our own posts, which many people have already started to do so. We can also spread positivity by commenting nice things on people's posts even if we don't really know them that well. If we see a mean comment, there should be an option to report it or some sort of system implemented that detects rude comment and automatically deletes them. In addition, we also always have to have the option to just use social media less often and focus on fostering the growth of in-person connection. While some of these are just small changes that we can make on a regular basis that will already improve the vibe of social media, some of them will also take time. That is why we need to start addressing these issues now so a change can be made and we're not just letting history continue on, allowing people to continue getting hurt unnecessarily.
So I don't want to leave this video off on a negative note whatsoever. So I just want to quickly address that social media could totally be a really good thing as long as we start to address the issues and work towards making an actual change. Social media provides us with the ability to interact with people all over the world and make connections we typically would never have been able to beforehand. It also keeps us connected with our friends and family, so that if we're far away, if they're far away, we can still be updated on their lives. Like if they went on vacation, we could see what they're up to. So overall, social media could become a place where we post our lives and build others up, as long as we start taking this conversation more seriously and actually take steps to remove the negativity from social media. So I think we'll end this discussion here. If you took the time to watch this video in its entirety, I greatly appreciate it and hope you're able to get some very important information out of it. Please continue to take steps towards a more positive social media presence and usage so that together we can make this world a little less negative. So all the resources that we used to create this argument can be found in the description box below, and we'll also link them at the end of the video. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you were able to get something valuable out of it.
And of course, if you're in Store, Connecticut, make sure to try DP Dough for some great calzone.
They're so very good. We highly recommend. All right.
Bye.
Bye.